found out the baby we had 2 weeks ago is not mine.
Is serving her divorce papers at a family gathering okay?
She had a baby recently 2 weeks ago. My wife started getting really weird with her phone about mid-pregnancy, and she's told me about how her coworker who brags about sleeping with a ton of women, including married women, and even bragged about fathering a child and another man unknowingly raising it. I think he's a piece of crap, but I thought my wife was telling me this as a way of conveying how horrible he is. He's the only man she spends any time with other than me and has a history of this. So I'm assuming the baby is his, but I could be wrong. I don't really care at this point whose it is. I just know it's not mine. Anyways, how I know? I ordered 2 well-known paternity tests leading up to the delivery of or something like that. Paranoia came back showing the child was not mine. I'm doing my best to keep up a good act and pretend I'm the committed father, husband, she thinks I am. I'm so disgusted and resentful. I feel a strong urge to get ahead of this because I've been divorced before, also cheated on in that marriage.
Amazing.
I'm kind of numb to it now. And the ex-wife told everyone that I cheated and that she was the victim. And it turned into a huge mess where most people still don't even believe me, and she told everyone that the screenshots I had proving it were photoshopped or generated. And she generated her own too to make it look like I was texting some woman who doesn't exist. It's because I gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought she'd be a good person. Instead, she got upset she was caught and immediately told everyone that I cheated instead of her, and then it became her word versus mine. I don't think that will happen here since there's a baby to prove the infidelity, but I still want to be careful. Given the extreme situation in that I've been misled for almost a year, what I really want to ask is, would it be reasonable for me to pull both of our families and best friends over and confront her with witnesses and the paternity test divorce papers, and a packed bag? I just want to make sure nothing is communicated incorrectly to anyone. To be fully honest, don't care if the attendees think this is immature, petty of me. The reputation stinging of miscommunication has hurt me before, and many people who I considered close friends think I cheated on my sex when she cheated on me and won't talk to me ever again. Her family is local, so I think she can stay with them after the event. But at this point, I've had my reputation falsely tarnished once in my life by a really bad person. I don't want it to happen again, and I would be lying if I said I didn't feel the need for her deeds to be labeled. Mr. Akazil has her first comment. It would be of poor taste, not for your wife, but for all the guests who may not want to be thrust into your marital fighting. You seem to be concerned about your reputation after what happened with your first divorce, which is completely understandable. But while making a spectacle out of your failed marriage will probably go viral online, it won't garner you any sympathy from your friends and family. If you want to be sure that your story is out before she can construct a lie about it, drop the bombshell to her close family, parents, siblings, just after delivering it to her. Example, an email when you essentially say, "Wife and I are getting a divorce. She cheated on me. Here are 2 paternity tests proving the baby isn't mine." Then you let the truth spread on its own. The plan. I plan to just go forward with their gathering as normal, and as soon as the last person leaves, I will pack a bag for her and the baby and provide her with a printed copy of the paternity test and divorce papers. I do, however, plan to text everyone who attended what transpired as they left the next day with a picture of the paternity tests. I'm 100% doing this part regardless of how Reddit thinks. At this point, the family gathering is already going to happen. I stupidly suggested this during an emotional bout. Sorry to miscommunicate that. I will suffer through it, so as not to tip her off that I still want to maintain the element of surprise. I think the text will just say, to her family, friends individually. It pains me to have to communicate this to everyone. I saw suspicious behaviors in wife and came into doubts about the child being mine. I ran 2 paternity tests against child and both came back showing that she is not mine. I'm very sorry to be the bearer of this news that our family will be no more. I wish you the best and hope you will give her the support and the child, as the child has nothing to do with her mistakes. To my family and friends individually, it pains me to have to communicate this to everyone. I saw a suspicious behavior in wife and came into doubts about the child being mine. I ran 2 fraternity tests against child, and both came back showing that she is not mine. I am very sorry to be the bearer of this news that our family will be no more. To my family and friends, I am okay. I just need some time to heal, and I think getting through the divorce will be the first step. We have one comment before we wrap this one up from Key Salary 7013. Unfortunately, this is the state of relationships and marriages nowadays. Too many people want perfection and TV spouses instead of a real human being. Your wife is nothing short of disgusting and you have to free yourself from this situation. Consult with a good attorney and start the process of divorce. Any woman who cheats and gets pregnant by another man isn't someone you stay with. After the divorce is finalized, refrain from being in a relationship for the foreseeable future so you can work on yourself first. I'm not at all trying to be rude, but you seriously need to adjust your cheater meter. Don't let this happen again. Moving forward, flip the script and rethink your standards. Don't be afraid to set hard and firm boundaries and enforce them. Strive for open communication and transparency with future partners. More importantly, don't let anyone bully you without controlling an insecure BS. You're not in high school anymore, you're an adult. 1 year out from D-Day and oh the damage she has wrought. We have been married for almost 5 years, and our daughter had just turned 3. We'd been looking to buy a house for over a year and get out of the city. And finally, we had an accepted offer on a home that we both liked. Things were looking up for us even in the midst of this pandemic, which had already upended life as we all knew it. 11 days before closing on the house, I picked up her phone to silence it while her mother called during our daughter's bedtime routine. I was curious about her screen time usage, and so I opened the report. She is a heavy Twitter user. And saw this app Discord had over 40 hours on it for the week. 8 hours on that day alone. When I opened the app, there was the message, "I love you," from a man whose name I didn't recognize. When I clicked on the message, thinking, surely this is one of her friends just laughing at one of her cleavered quips, I was dismayed to see she had reciprocated the, "I love you," and what preceded it was an intense bout of online sexting. I confronted her that night, but her response immediately set off alarm bells. She initially denied that it was anything serious and claimed was nothing more than online fantasy between her group of friends. I indicated that it seemed like more than that. And she then took the tact of blaming me for not being more attentive to her needs sexually. After digging a little further, I came to learn that this man who was married with child and living in Singapore and my wife had been sexting for only a few weeks, but the level of engagement was intense for both of them, and they were seemingly falling in love. All of this as we were about to buy a house together. She promised me that she cut things off with the main guy and would work on the marriage. But you can probably see where this is going. We went ahead with the purchase of the house and moved out of the city last June. Over the summer, she resumed contact with him, all the while lying to me about it. I knew this because she left her Messenger app logged in on a tablet we use for our daughter, where she maintained a conversation with 2 close friends she met through this group on Twitter. Never in person, I should add. She suddenly had a new narrative about our relationship. How awful I am to her. I married her abuser. What can I say? And how in love she was with this other man who, side note, is 22 years her senior. In spite of her going through the motions of working on her marriage, agreeing to counseling and then firing each counselor. In August, she asked for separation less than 3 months after I had discovered her online infidelity. In that brief period of time, I lost 50 pounds. The infidelity diet works. We went into mediation that September. And apparently, things weren't moving fast enough to her liking, and she felt I was dragging things out in order to torture her. In December, unbeknownst to me at the time, she filed for divorce with a lawyer, thereby negating our progress and expenses incurred in mediation. In January, after an argument in which she slammed a door on me, she left the next day with our daughter to stay with her mother. This had been agreed upon earlier because her babysitter wasn't available that week. A few days after that, 2 police officers showed up at the door to serve me with an order of protection to stay away from my wife and daughter. Fortunately, it was not an order to vacate, so I was able to stay in the house while this was going on. Since then, we have been in family court to deal with her allegations of abuse. She calls herself a domestic violence survivor on Twitter, even though I never so much as raised a finger towards her. After being investigated by CPS and the allegations being deemed unfounded, I have a limited access schedule with my daughter, a whopping 2 hours a week. But even that is too much for my wife, who claims that I am manipulating our daughter and confusing her during our brief visits together. It would appear likely that a forensic evaluation will be necessary to get to the bottom of these issues, as she continues to claim abuse and say I'm a threat to her and our daughter's safety, even though I have no history of violence whatsoever, and she has no proof of any of her allegations. I will say that things are progressing, albeit slowly, and the legal bills are adding up. It is astounding the lengths that the wayward spouse will sometimes go to protect themselves when caught in a lie. And the degree that my soon-to-be ex-wife has been deceiving herself in this ordeal has been mind-boggling to me, my friends, and family. Our first comment reaction comes from HP02121. Your soon-to-be ex-wife has not only created her own fantasy world, but she actually believes that it exists. Her world is built with imaginary bricks and mortar, and the green grass that she sees in her front yard doesn't actually exist. She may stay forever in this delusion because to the untrained eye, it seems that she has issues that will go beyond the norm of dissatisfaction in her marriage and in her life. One thing that you might want to consider is having an order issued by a judge that will prevent your wife from taking country or out of state without your permission. Now that passports are required to travel to all foreign countries, your daughter's name and date of birth will go into a database that will be used to verify all passports. And if her daughter is in that database, bells will go off if she tries to take her daughter out of the country. If your wife ever comes out of her fog and wants to reconcile, please do not get back with her. She is too unstable as a person to ever be involved with anybody. Cult Queen has the next comment. This is a known tactic by cheaters to deflect guilt and be the victim. The idea that people will find out they're cheaters is too harmful for their fragile ego, so they put out false claims to make you the guilty party. It's disgusting, and that's why everyone that suspects their partner is cheating should have proof and honestly document every interaction from that moment on. I'm sorry that you lost so much, and I hope you get to have your child with you soon. The op responds with, "Thank you. I have a lot of documentation." The crazy thing is that I really think that she believes her claims against me at this point. It's beyond a calculated ploy of her conscious mind and has become the truth. Herb Ever Stanks thinks another way to deflect guilt is say that they were raped and they were under the control of this person. And that person made her do drugs. That was my case. Never once admitted to sex outside the marriage. She lied to herself, me, the judge, her lawyer, her therapist, and her family. And our final comment from Tertiary 78. It sounds like she's attempting to make a case to alienate you from your daughter so she can move to wherever AP is. That seems clear with how calculated her actions are. I'll never understand a person like this. Stuck so far in the fog, that she's attempted to ruin her child's relationship with her father. Keep fighting. Your ex will continue to spiral to self-serve and destroy herself with her poor behavior.
She's a broken human.
And it's incredibly sad just how broken